We see the guys are starting. Here we go. Warlock versus Priest. So Jackie is going to start already with his discard Warlock.
Yeah, this is the Warlock of the hour. It really just operates the same as other Warlock decks, but has a strong emphasis on discard. So you do have the Lakari Fellhounds and the Howlfiends, which are overstated, but have that discard drawback. So Jackie's going to try to mitigate that drawback. Yeah, Jackie's going to try to mitigate that drawback with Clutch Mother Zavas and Silverware Golem, and of course the Malchezaar's Imp to keep the number of cards in hand up.
I don't think I actually saw...
But it's tough.
So Jackie so far discard a single golem yet. In all the games that we have seen from him and his Warlock, I don't think he literally discarded one golem in the game.
No, I don't think he has. And he only discarded Clutch Mother when it was the only card in hand.
Unlucky. In all seriousness, if you're running this deck, why not run the Warlock quest? Well, the problem with the Warlock quest is that it takes a spot in your hand. That's the problem with it.
And it means that you can't play Flame Imp or Malchezaar's Imp or Voidwalker on turn 1.
And it's a problem when you start, because then you have only 2 cards from the deck actually being put into your hand, so less chances to get Clutch Mother Zavas or Silverware Golem. And you still need to sacrifice a lot of tempo to actually get that quest running, and even after its completion, it doesn't necessarily net you the win.
Yeah, the Warlock quest it's nice value in the late game if you can actually activate it, but losing the early tempo of playing a Flame Imp on turn 1 is really, really detrimental in mirrors and against other tempo decks. So, like Rogue, for instance, if you miss that turn 1 because you're playing Lakari Sacrifice, then sometimes you're just too far behind already for it to actually bring you back into the game in the late game. So you might as well just forego the quest altogether, try to get additional value from discards on Silverware Golem and Clutch Mother Zavas, and still maintain that turn 1 lead.
RDU is just looking for any kind of board control right now. That would be an example. Aukenai Soul Priest would be definitely perfect, since he already has a Circle of Healing in his hand, so he would be able to just wipe the entire board as soon as possible. And it would fit nicely, since Jackie Chan would like to go and develop a wide board as soon as possible, especially after we have seen a discarded Bone Mirror already. Well, this hand is really unlucky.
Yeah.
I think I would like to just tap this turn and go for the Direwolf Alpha, since you don't want to discard your Doomguard, such a powerful card, especially with the Malchezaar Imp in hand. Like, this is one of the most important and crucial cards right now to have.
Yeah, Jackie Chan can go for Malchezaar's Imp Lakari Fellhound next turn, and pretty much guarantee that he's going to discard the Doomguard, but he will draw 2 cards off of it. The 3/8 is really strong presence on board. But I don't know. He has a board that is very weak to the Circle of Healing that's in the hand. It's pretty weak to Potion of Madness. I don't know. He's got to get something going.
Well, killing that Cleric was actually important as well. I just want to deny the potential card advantage for the Priest. So, I definitely like this turn. The upside of drawing the Malchezaar Imp dictates how you want to play the game, especially with this deck, right? Because imagine if you had to play the Fellhound or the Doomguard next turn, and you don't have the cycle from having the Malchezaar Imp. In this case, next turn he can develop the Imp and go for the Fellhound, so even if he loses the Doomguard, he still gets something in place of it, right? So that's very important, not to lose the card advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. So how is Jackie gonna want to do this? The clean turns are Malchezaar Lakari or Doomguard. If you Doomguard, you can push a lot of damage. You could actually go 3, 6, 8, 15 this turn to face with just Doomguard.
Well,
He puts it between the
the problem is that RDU has a Dragonfire Potion, 1, right, in his deck. Let me check. 1 Dragonfire Potion, yes. So he is getting really vulnerable to that, since the coin is still in his hand. So I wouldn't mind to go exactly for the Hellhound with the Imp. Unfortunately, Doomguard is discarded, but still gets its cycle. And the Clutch Mother Zavas is already there.
That's pretty solid pickup. Lakari can guarantee the Clutch Mother Zavas is discarded next turn. You can start to buff that up little by little. It is very likely that it gets silenced or outright killed by RDU, but at least it is a threat. And Jackie Chan's deck is relatively threat light. It's got the Blood Fury potions to create threats out of some smaller demons, but there's no Blood Reaver Gul'dan in the top end, and there's only 1 Bone Mare.
I'm thinking, is it worth to play the Clutch Mother Zavas here in a spot when you're just 4/4, right? It cannot be killed by a Shadow Word Pain, by a Shadow Word Death. But at the same time, he still has the Lakari Fellhound, which would like to give more value out of the discard mechanic, especially if the Imp is alive. Because now, whenever he discards something, it is a bonus. But unfortunately, it doesn't live. So...
Yeah. I mean, playing the Clutch Mother as a 4/4 is resilient to pain and death, but playing as a 6/6 or higher means that it isn't automatically killed by Dragonfire Potion. It is then, of course, susceptible to Shadow Reaper Anduin, so you sort of need to weigh the pros and the cons, right? Do I need to even go for a big Clutch Mother to win this game? Is this going to be game-winning for me? Or, is it potentially game-losing if I don't get the value out of this? I don't think Jackie's at that point yet, but RDU is closing in on Shadow Reaper Anduin. So Jackie needs to keep it in mind.
And when he slams that Shadow Reaper Anduin, the game changes, right? Just because of the recurring damage that RDU can be playing each turn. That means all the threats that Jackie Chan will be playing are gonna be threatened by the insane output from RDU. So definitely a problematic situation. And it doesn't seem like he will finish this game before that moment. Oh, I love this. By playing the Doomsayer,
This is nice.
by playing the Doomsayer, what he achieves is that the Scalebane will most likely be incentivized to trade into the Doomsayer with some form of buff. That means another minion or a Soulfire will be played. If it's another minion, the another minion will get buffed to at least 5 attack, even if it's a veteran, an example, right, or double veterans. And those minions will be then baited into the Shadow Reaper Anduin with the coin, so they all get killed with the buff. But if he doesn't kill the Doomsayer, then the board control is being taken by RDU. He can just play his Novice Engineer, get additional card draw, and just slowly develop the board while still keeping the coin.
Yeah, this is a really nice setup for RDU. Even still, Jackie Chan doesn't have a way to remove the Doomsayer, so RDU takes back initiative. Can now really save his Shadow Reaper Anduin for when he absolutely needs it. And the Raza pickup could not have been better.
Perfect moment for RDU to just take the control of the game. Now Shadow Reaper Anduin with that coin and Circle of Healing in hand is additional 4 damage. That means that 10 damage is already available on the board next turn.
Jackie Chan just... If any Zoo deck loses the board, it's in a bad spot. If Jackie's Zoo deck loses the board, he has even fewer comeback mechanics than just a traditional Zoo.
Okay, that's a good discard, but it probably will not be good enough.
At least he hit the Clutch Mother this time. The
thing is that that Soulfire doesn't really do much, so I would rather just play a minion that discards a card. So in this case, I would even favor the Librarian, because you need more cards. So when you trade next turn, you're gonna probably use the Soulfire as well. Ooh, he goes for it, okay.
$50-50. Can he get it?
He did get it.
He does.
Right, so
okay.
another card draw from the Imp. And this is where the deck is actually kind of powerful, because it gets you a cheap cycle, which is essentially a card draw, but it requires a setup on the board. And when it does that, it seems incredibly powerful. But the problem is you need to get that setup, and that's not easy when your deck is based upon a discard, and you can discard your key cards in the meantime.
If Warlock had a card, like a minion on board, for instance, super understated minion, that says you get to pick your discards, would this deck be playable?
I mean, you would have to sacrifice another card in your deck to have more synergy. So I don't believe that would be the case. Not sure. It would have to be something like Blood Imp that cannot be targeted. And,
Okay.
cannot be attacked. And can just sit there on the board. Or if Blizzard would introduce like artifacts on board, right? That cannot be attacked, that you just play it and they're indestructible unless someone plays a spell that destroys an equipment or something. Trinkets, I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah, I get the point. Yeah, something that can't be interacted with except in very rare circumstances. Otherwise, it's just still not worth it.
Suddenly, the 22 HP that Jackie Chan has on his side is not really that much when you face an Anduin with
No.
0 mana cost hero power.
Yeah, when every card in RDU's hand says Battlecry deal 2 damage, you're feeling a lot less safe when you're Jackie.
People are saying bottom left. Shouldn't it be bottom right?
I mean, I'm vaguely seeing something at the bottom left of the screen. It's hard to decipher exactly what it is. Could be a rock, maybe?
Might be a rock with good hair.
It's just a rock that moves. How long can this go on?
This kind of reminds me of an early Monty Python. Alright, I guess that's lethal with Valen right now. Mind Blast alone is 10 damage.
I guess that's probably it. Yeah.
Damn, this is so much damage. This is ridiculous. Alright, first game of the semifinal is done. RDU is taking the game with his priest while the discard warlock is being defeated. That's like a common scenario so far for Jackie Chan. He opens with the warlock, loses the first game, then he plays the warlock for a second time, then he wins. Let's see if that will actually happen next game.
Yeah, that is kind of the pattern that has emerged for Jackie. He has been leading this warlock pretty consistently, losing the first game and then managing to find a win with it. He even in a couple of his matches has gone down to a serious game deficit, whether it be 0-2 or 1-2, and has managed to come back from that deficit. So he's targeting very specific decks within the standard lineup. I believe one of them is Jade Druid, and Rizaka's Priest is just a little bit more resilient, right? It has all of the strong removal options, so while Zoo can certainly take advantage of the inconsistencies of Rizaka's Priest, it still is not a guaranteed win by any means. It's a pretty even matchup, and then you factor in Jackie's weird Zoo, and then all bets are off.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it was a good position in deck against the Warlock, and the Warlock, I mean, it had a chance to win. If, an example, Jackie would hit those several golems in the beginning of the game, right? Because this is like the moment when he catches the tempo, insane additional tempo. It's worth more than interface, right? So It's gonna jump into the second game. This time, as I said before, look at that. The warlock is being picked again, and RDU picks his druid. So this time, this should actually favor J4ckiechan.
If he's gonna get a win, he's gonna want to do it now. This is by far his best shot, and he's got a really nice hand to do it. Find some of those discard mechanics. You've actually got the Malchezaar's Imp and the Silverware Golem. A Succubus would be nice. Soulfire would be pretty useful. He's got plenty of them. I'm sure he'll find something.
Right.
You, having fun there, Lothar?
I'm having a great time.
Good. I am glad.
Right, maybe this time we're gonna actually see J4ckiechan with the Silver Golem action, because
Can he do it?
he can actually coin it out this turn, and honestly, against a druid, I would go for it every single time. If he hits the nail right now with Imp, coin out Librarian into the Golem, that's insane. That's bonkers. That's additional 3 mana to play that turn on turn 2, and he still gets a card draw. If he doesn't hit the Silverware Golem, he still doesn't lose anything because he has the cycle.
You are not the boss of me.
Oh, I think he got it. Okay.
That looked like a happy Jackie.
Woo!
That was a happy Jackie. Okay.
He actually got it. Look at that. Incredible, Jackie. Congrats. First time today. So, it's turn 3, and he has 8 damage on board already. Can go for his Iron Wolf Alpha for additional damage, and just pressure RDU. I think that's... I mean, it cannot get better than that, right? Oops, my PogChamp moved.
I don't think it can.
My Pog...
PogChamp.
Ah!
I would take...
It attacked as well.
Oh dear. Take advantage of the weaknesses of the druid, which has a hard time removing wide boards, and hit face.
Some intern is having a lot of fun. No one knows that's me.
Lothar is his own intern.
It's my...
Somebody's getting fired!
Yeah.
My PogChamp has moved!
Well, there's one saving grace for RDU, and it's called Spreading Plague with Mark of Lotus. Oh my god, this PogChamp is moving too much.
Lothar, please control your PogChamps. They're getting unruly.
Fortunate for me, there's only one PogChamp.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. A pack of PogChamps would just be too much. Too much. So are you going to try and slow down this game as much as he can? Going for 1/5 Scarabs, buffing him up a little bit, and trying to deal with Jackie's board any way he possibly can. This is the only time I think I would ever want to play Howl Fiend.
Seems like a good idea. Alright, enough of the PogChamps. What is the most efficient turn that he can play this? The whole thing actually seems very decent if you follow it up with first with the Flame Imp. And you're not worried about deathwing yet. I mean, what are you worried about deathwing? This is a Jade Druid, so there's not even a deathwing here.
I'm always worried about Deathwing.
Can you imagine
Doesn't matter
a
what time
random
of day.
generation of a deathwing?
Just
no
I
fun.
wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh crap, Deathwing.
I'm really disappointed in Jackie right now this turn. He could have gone for the whole fiend, right?
Enough for you? Yeah.
I don't get it.
Okay, so here's the thing about Jackie, right? Like, he plays some weird stuff, but he's actually an intelligent player. I know these are contradictory statements, I understand, but he's actually pretty good.
He's pretty decent at the game, yes. That is correct.
A tangled web.
I mean, in all honesty, we're kind of making jokes in this game, but since turn 2, this kind of took a really strange turn, and Jackie...
It took a fun turn.
Jackie just took the control of the entire game by storm.
I don't feel like I can cast Jackie's matches without having a little bit of fun myself, you know? He encourages the fun. Oh, this is sick. Okay. Good stuff.
Well, it's still not GG enough, but that Doomguard on its own is kind of sick. Allows to kill one of the Scarabs from the Spreading Plague. Oh my god, he hit both. I mean, it doesn't matter, honestly.
Jackie's a god. It took him, there was a little bit of a learning curve with this deck. You know, it took him a couple of matches before he was finally getting into the groove, but now he's hit it. If he could discard like this every game, Jackie would be the world champion right now.
Sick deck, bro.
10 out of 10, would play it. And then baby rage when I inevitably don't have these results.
Oh, interesting, he attacked. That's kind of odd, I would say. Unnecessary risk for a swipe. Although the swipe doesn't really change that much. Here we go. RDU recognizes what was happening since turn 2. And concedes the game. 1-1 in the second semifinal of GameGune. Honestly, this game was fun. It was snowbally, but it was fun. We have seen some J4ckiechan action right now. Living up his name.
Yeah, I love it. Jackie always brings really interesting stuff. And actually, I would like to address Martinez in the chat, who does not appreciate the unique playstyle of Jackie and thinks that it's not competitive at all. But I would challenge that by saying that Jackie's lineup is actually very similar to the lineup that we saw from Stancifka and from Espamito and from Tomas, which are the counter the standard 4 lineup that has actually been performing incredibly well. So at heart, Jackie has a really stellar strategy and is actually very intelligent. So you can interpret this interesting, creative, unique, different style of deck choice how you want, but it's working, and that's a fact.
I mean, he did opt a more explosive deck instead of the more consistent one. Doesn't mean it's a wrong strategy, right? People play combo decks all the time when they are not consistent. And this is kind of like a combo deck, but it doesn't necessarily combo out your opponent in one turn. So that's the difference between an example, you know, this deck and let's say Razako's Priest. They both can be perceived as combo decks, but at the same time, it's not exactly the same type of development in the game. Because the discard Warlock is board orientated, while an example Razako's Priest is answers. Like it's kind of focused on its own answers.
Very
right?
reactive. And now we've got Jackie's priest, which is very, very different than your traditional Rizaka's priest. It's a Divine Spirit Inner Fire combo priest, but with no dragons. So he's actually focusing quite a bit on Injured Blade Master circle interactions to try and force a lot of draw for himself to find those combo pieces very quickly, whereas Tomas and Stansifka had dragon combo builds, which have a lot more mid-range minion development, a little bit better against control decks. Jackie's build, it's a little bit faster, but I don't think it performs particularly well against a traditional zoo like RDU has brought to the table. But then again, when you have a start like this, you're going to draw a million cards and probably be pretty happy about it. So, Jackie's doing all right.
You are not the boss of me.
Especially when RDU did play a 1/3 minion on turn 1, which can be a feeder for that combo that you mentioned with the Pyromancer and Northshire Cleric. Although with the Aukenai Soul Priest already in hand, it's kinda tempting to keep it for the clear. This is where the experience of a player comes into the play. Because you need to know, do you save your cards or do you go for them as soon as possible? Because either he goes for the card advantage play and hopes to draw the exact answers that he would need in the future, or he keeps the Circle of Healing with the Aukenai Soul Priest for a potential clear on turn 4 or 5.
Man, it's really tempting either way. If Jackie goes for the blowout Cleric Pyro turn with the Circle, then it is possible that he picks up Shadow Visions or just the second copy of Circle of Healing outright. So he's not necessarily losing access to Aukenai Circle. It is dependent on whether or not he draws into those resources, but he's just going to go ahead and develop. This is weak to Soulfire in particular, double Akros Veteran as well, but that's a lot less likely. With the Soulfire, however, from RDU, Jackie is going to lose a lot of draw potential, and that is what combo decks need to thrive.
I wonder if...
Well, I guess you need to tap. Soulfire seems tempting as well. You can discard your low impact pirate and get a cycle. Ooh. Okay, this is the interesting thing.
So essentially, RDU needs to keep Jackie off the board. 100%. If Jackie's able to develop anything, if he's able to stick like a Radiant Elemental into a Cabal Talon Priest, for instance, or a Power Word Shield somewhere in there, none of Jackie's damage comes from hand. It all comes from Divine Spirit, Inner Fire, onto minions on the board. And because his deck is so much more aggressive than the Dragon builds that are a lot more mid-range oriented, he should be able to put up a better fight in the early game, especially with Galaka Crawlers. So my feeling is that he's brought this build for decks like Rogue in particular, but the Warlock a little bit. The thing is, I just don't know if it's as good in practice, or we've seen it be as good in practice as it is in theory. He's got the Soul Priest Circle, but Zoo has a lot of reload. It has Life Tap for continuous resources. It has the ability to build up board after board, and Jackie only has access to 2 copies of Aukenai Circle, and that's if he finds them together.
And the Kelesev might actually put out the minions out of range of those damaging plans from Jackie as well. You can see how upset Jackie-chan is about that Kelesev, because it actually makes a huge difference. Fortunately for him, the patch is already on the board, so it's not buffed by the Kelesev.
It changes all of Jackie's reach, right? Everything's going to be a little bit different now. Crystal Weaver, for instance, if it's drawn, will have 5 health. Darkshire Councilman will have 6. So Circle of Healing plus Aukenai isn't going to be as clean a clear as it would have been previously. It just makes things a little bit more difficult.
Good thing for Jackie, he has that coin kept from the beginning of the game. So it does some damage with the Pyromancer, but the problem is the timing, right? And it is a lot of a lot of can has to be sacrificed to achieve a board clear with a pyromancer, especially when your opponent is getting buffed by that Prince Kalesev. So I'm thinking maybe Circle of Healing first, and then you play pyromancer with a coin, but then he sacrificed the coin right now, so that's plan is out of the window.
Total corruption, total power.
Ba, 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 ba. Alright, well, we see Alkanai Soulpriest already on the board, so the hero power is available just to deal additional damage. This is still the moment when the Circle of Healing can actually kill a minion, but at the same time it will damage the Alkanai Soulpriest severely. So I don't think that's the option this turn. So going slower with the Dark Reaper might actually be a reason to play it, but at the same time it doesn't contest the Crystal Weaver. That's a huge issue.
Yeah. Jackie Chan doesn't have his most valuable resources, and he doesn't have any way to find them right now. That's an issue. He is going to need to be really careful with what he actually does develop on the board. Radiant Elemental is excellent for combo placement because it discounts the Divine Spirit in the Inner Fire, but he's not going to be able to find those pieces if he doesn't get Acolyte of Pain, for instance. And that's what giving up that Northshire Cleric in the beginning was sort of a catalyst for. He has the Circle of Healing for removal with the Auchenai, but then he loses out on so much draw potential, which could have just given him the resources he needed to remove the board anyway and develop his own. After this, he's struggling a little bit.
Well, fortunately, he did get to draw that Acolyte of Pain. So this will help a little bit, especially since he's able to deal damage to it immediately this turn with his own hero power, if he wants to definitely get 2 draws out of it. But at the same time, it's tempting to deal the additional damage with the hero power to the Dark Reaper. But at the same time, there's no way of dealing additional 1 point of damage with just attacks. So it's uneven.
The numbers don't line up.
So he would have to sacrifice the Pyromancer and Alkanai Soulpriest against against the Dark Reaper, and this is all because of the Prince Kalesev. When you think about it, it would have been such a huge difference if that minion would have 5 HP, because it could have been just Alkanai Soulpriest, trade, and that's it, right? And it's dead.
Okay, I actually really like this from Jackie. He is going to have to give up the Inner Fire, which is a little bit unfortunate, but he's starting this cycle train rolling, and he's able to fully remove the Dark Reaper, start pushing a little bit of damage himself, and the sequence of draws for RDU has been absolutely horrible. Now he's picked up both Doom Guards, which are best when you don't run the risk of discarding each other, and Blood Reaver Gul'dan, unfortunately, is going to be discarded there as well. So having access to that second Doom Guard is still great, but the late game push of Blood Reaver Gul'dan now will not be there for RDU. Granted, he doesn't really need to actually kill Jackie Chan, he just needs to kill everything that he puts on board, so both Doom Guards is probably just more effective anyway.
True, I agree. Although the hero power from the Gul'dan is game-winning. So the problem is that he lacks now the end game. And both Doomguards are gonna be played in the upcoming turn. So if they're gonna get killed, the only thing that is left is, I believe, a single Councilman, basically. Otherwise, he would have to just play multiple big minions. But now, when a 10-10 minion is on board, there's not enough time to do that. Actually, 11-11, even worse.
And suddenly things are looking a lot more grim for RDU. Jackie went all in right when he had to. Banked on picking up some fortunate draws, and sometimes that's what you have to do. It worked out for him.
Whew. Well, he's being dead in 2 turns, and he can't really do much about it. Is there any answer? Let me actually check RDU's deck list. Soulfire is 1 damage or 2 damage off actually.
Speak your peace.
That's actually not a single answer. So he needs to get a Bone Mirror next turn with a minion, but then he doesn't have enough mana if this veteran are gonna get traded as well. And for Jackie, that's a no-brainer. He'll just gonna attack into the Doomguard and into the veteran. By doing that, he's just gonna establish huge board dominance, and it doesn't matter what RDU we're gonna play in the upcoming turns because he will be first to trade and heal his own Tar Creeper as well. Otherwise, if he doesn't clear the board, Bone Marrow is an actual out.
Yeah, I don't think Jackie has the ability to get greedy here. This is still not a 1 game for him. He can close out the game in 2 turns with the Tar Creeper, yeah, but RDU has a way to clear it, and if RDU clears the Tar Creeper off the board, Jackie doesn't have any more reload. Jackie, like, cannot win the game from that point. He doesn't have the damage. So this is still really close.
Ooh. Ooh. Okay. I like that he went aggressive with both. I wouldn't like just one trade. So you either trade with both or you just go aggressive with both as well.
Yeah, don't be halfway about it, but it's gonna pay off. Jackie's gonna find that 2-turn lethal. His all in with the Divine Spirit Inner Fire paying off in spades, and Jackie Chan gonna go up to a 2-1 lead over RDU. Both his Warlock and his Priest finding wins right off the bat. His 2 most out-of-the-box decks picking up wins against some of the most standard decks in the format right now.
Yeah, pretty incredible. The low curve Priest actually paying off with the 2 Shadow... What's the name? Shadow
The Ascendants.
Ascendants. Exactly. We don't see them often. This is actually the first time I actually see them in a competitive environment. And so far, they're kind of underwhelming, I would say. But they're not terrible.
They fit in the
Yes.
deck. This is probably the only deck that I could ever see them in. Just Curve Priest doesn't really exist, but in this case, I mean, they kind of make sense.
I mean...
I still think there's other things that you could put in instead, like Shadow Word Pains and additional Shadow Word Death, but...
When you think about it,
it's
if you're
working out.
able to play 1 on turn 1 with a coin and then follow it up with a second, that's like the old time, what was the name, the 1-drops that are giving +1 on HP each turn. Oh my god. My arena knowledge...
Blood
No. The neutral ones. My arena knowledge is horrible. I forgot about it. Anyway, let's just focus on the next game.
+1 health every turn.
The 1 mana 2/1. Young Priestess, thank you very much, chat.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Wow, I blanked hard there.
Alright, well, we have the maybe last game in the second semifinal. Jackie Chan is on match point. He needs to win 1 more game with his Paladin, and the Paladin is actually the most standard deck of all from his entire lineup. RDU commits to his Warlock again, and I don't know what happened to our sound.
Sing it for us, Lothar. Don't leave us songless.
Okay, I'm just gonna mute it because it has annoying background sound.
Rip game sound.
I'll check it in a few seconds.
Yeah, try to get that fixed for you guys. Okay, so both of these players utilizing tempo decks in game number 4. Jackie Chan has the advantage of having weapons, which means he's going to be able to clear minions while at the same time developing his own. And if he can leverage that, then he will likely find himself coming out on top in the initial trade sequence. And this game, for sure, is going to be all about going back and forth on board until one player has a distinct board advantage, then they can start to push face. But this isn't a smork battle at all.
And the fact that Jackie Chan has Relying Blade and True Civet Champion available is so much tempo gain, especially in a metagame where Warlock is playing Crystal Weavers, which have 4 HP, and are so weak to a True Civet Champion. So by playing the Relying Blade, Jackie is buying crucial tempo that otherwise Paladin is easily losing. So this is super important. Oh, the patches draw is not the best, but still, I think it's more important that he has the weapons in his hand than the draw of the patches. The problem is that he doesn't have a second Murloc in hand, so he cannot really play his Chum to buff another Murloc, but I would say that committing to a weapon right now which buys you tempo for turn 3 when you can develop hero power with patches, an example, to trade with something that has 4 HP from RDU side, because you can play Concealman, right? So then you can use the Relying Blade, the patches, and the Murloc on board already to kill the to kill the Concealman, and that's an important development.
Jackie, he's going to have some time, especially, even if he just goes Rallying Blade into, like you said, Patches Hero Power, hit with the Rallying Blade again into True Silver. Because he has those weapons, he can really leverage them to hopefully draw into some better board presence, but it's really lacking right now. He did not get the traditional Vilefin into Rockpool into Warleader start into Megasaur for additional adaptations, and now Bloodsail Corsair going to come out and actually shut down his ability to kill off the Flame Imp this turn. And now Jackie's going to be losing a lot of ground.
Unfortunately, that Corsair was nuts for Jackie, of course, and nuts for RDU. That would mean that the difference is between having Flame Imp alive or dead, just by with the weapon. So the difference is huge. Such a crucial draw.
Yeah, I need to pick up anything good on the draw. Not that there would have been anything fantastic. Second Rallying Blade probably would have been the best draw there, but it certainly isn't Chum for no buff and hero power.
The Crystal Weaver with double buff. Oh my god. I mean, there's no way Jackie Chan can know what's gonna happen, right? There was an option for him to play patches and just trade with the Flame Imp, but that is such a bad turn that you never do it. But when there's a Crystal Weaver and you will get that buff on the Flame Imp, it just feels so bad. Board control achieved by RDU, and he will not let go of it.
And achieved very early at that.
Now every single turn...
Yeah, Jackie's...
Sorry, please.
No, I was just going to say Jackie's playing the UK Paladin, but you can see that, so continue, please.
So the only way of Jackie not playing from behind, being on, being put behind on tempo, is by achieving tempo plays like exactly Dread Corsair. So it's an important play when you can develop for 4 mana a weapon that buys you tempo for the upcoming turn while still trading up with the board state. So having this Dread Corsair is insane when you think about it. This is the way he can actually get back into this game.
Jackie does have, I mean, as weird as it sounds, Patch's Blessing of Kings on 5 is not terrible.
The problem...
This is still within reach depending on what he picks up over the next couple of turns.
Yeah, but the problem is... The Patch is gonna die. Are you gonna develop one of his despicable dreadlords? And those are really tough to remove. And if RDU will have even one of those just on board for multiple turns, that means Jackie will always be behind on board, will always be held back by the multiple AoEs that he was gonna get value for. And having 2 of those on board, that is bonkers. A consecration every single turn?
Oh, that's phenomenal. But even a Spike Ridge Steed pickup for Jackie wouldn't be enough. He's got nothing to stick. He doesn't have the time to, wait till turn 8 so he can hero power Spike Ridge Steed. That's not going to be enough when that turn rolls around. And Jackie's only sitting at 13 health, right? Like, RDU doesn't have to do that much more here to just outright win this game. The second Despicable Dreadlord going to kill off the Megasaur, going to proc the Murloc, and then kill off the 1/1s as well. Did RDU have to make
Yeah, I'm
that
thinking
trade?
about it. I'm actually not sure.
I'm pretty sure one procs, the Death Rattle procs, and then the other one procs?
Battle cries are being
I don't actually know
battle
for
cries
sure.
are being procced at the same time, so the death rattle would have been procced after
Okay,
that.
and
yeah.
then Death Rattle activates. Okay, then he did have to make that attack.
Is it me or there's an echo? Yeah, it might be an echo since I'm running this production from my home. Sorry for that, and I still don't have a proper setup yet.
I think they mean me, but
Well, I'm in a really big room, so it might be me.
yeah, it's possible. I don't know. We're too deep into it now.
Too deep! Too deep! Well, this game went downhill pretty fast for Jackie Chan. Double Despicable Dreadlord is insane. This is just too much.
Really strong.
The fact that he can now even just play the Pyro without the effect on the weapon says how much he's ahead on the board. Yeah, and that's about it.
All
Jackie
right.
Chan with the concede. It's 2-2. Oh, we have sound. Okay, fantastic. Jackie Chan with the concede,
Hooray!
2-2. And in the second semi-final, so again, in a best of 5, we're going to the final game. And that means RDU is left with his druid.
Yep, and Jackie has his paladin. So this is a matchup that Jackie wanted to get. This is a reason why you bring the paladin, because it does prey on decks like the druid that are a little bit slower and really struggle with wide board removal. And it seems like this is really Jackie's strategy. He's fine with going down at a win deficit, because he really wants to prey specifically on Jade Druid from his opponent's more standard Conquest lineups. And that's exactly what he's going to be doing.
All right, we're going to see final moments of those players in a second. When you think about it, what was the price difference between being in a semi-final and a grand final? You mentioned that before, I can't remember.
Like $3,000.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I believe. I think it's $3,000 for third, fourth. Second gets $6,000. First place is $12,000.
Woohoo! That's a lot. All right, I hear the game loading, so let's switch. Oh, casters.
I must protect.
Oh my god, I already see an insane opening for Jackie Chan, but fortunately for Druid, there's no coin for the Paladin.
I think the Paladin's perfectly fine with that. You could just get that one drop on board first. You really benefit from going first as a tempo deck, which plays a significant amount of one drops.
I think I would actually keep the Spreading Plague in this matchup for RDU.
Okay.
Especially when you're on the draw, since you don't lose the potential card, basically, by doing that. Because this is like one of the most important cards in this matchup, right? You usually fall behind on board control anyway, and Spreading Plague is one of those tools that you need to get it back.
Yeah, I mean, it is the only comeback mechanic in the deck, really. Swipe isn't good enough. Wrath can maybe take a few key targets off the board, but Spreading Plague is the only one that will consistently buy you more time.
Alright, play around Rockpool Hunter. I like it, otherwise you're just falling behind and behind and behind, and don't really need the ramp right now. Because next turn is not Jade Blossom.
Okay, so Jackie, he goes for the Vilefin this turn, even though Hero Power this turn would guarantee the Vilefin Hero Power on turn 3. This plays better to picking up Cold Light Seer, to picking up Murloc Warleader, picking up Rockpool Hunter. So he is going to sacrifice, one Silverhand Murloc over the course of the 2 turns. Unfortunately, it doesn't pay off, but he does get that additional 2 damage as well.
This game might be ended up pretty fast. The Blessing of Kings on its own is insane. Especially now when RDU had to commit to the Fandral, so it will take a hit from it. But Jackie might actually think about developing the True Silver Champion, in this case sacrificing the 1/1 Murloc instead.
I think I like getting the True Silver up. You get to develop your Dread Corsair. You get to... Actually, you pull patches from the Dread Corsair, so True Silver plus the patches can go in. You can save your Murloc on board for the Adapt next turn.
That's way better. That is so much better, actually.
Blood and
Yeah, this is a sick turn.
Alright. Next turn, Megazord or Blessing of Kings puts Radu even further behind. And in this case, he will be able to pull off a Spreading Plague next turn, but he needs to top deck it with the Mark of the Lotus. That might be making a difference, but he still needs to top deck that Spreading Plague.
Oh wow, even the Grimscale Chum just is a 1 mana 2/1 that you can adapt. This could be a really, really strong turn. He's looking for things that allow him to stay on board. Divine Shield is really good, plus health is really good, but also offensive adepts are really strong as well. So Wind Fury is good, plus 3 attack. Even Living Spores is okay, because it allows you to keep something on board through Swipe. So there's no way that Jackie's going to whiff on any of these adapts.
Everything is decent, maybe apart from being untargetable. Because...
You do need to consider Spreading Plague from RDU. So that would be the merit to like just playing Blessing of Kings this turn and going face. And I bet that's what Jackie's considering. You know, how wide does he want to go? How much does he want to put himself at risk of Spreading Plague?
Yeah. He is worried about that Spreading Plague. So he goes for probably the higher win rate play by just going for the Blessing of Kings, because now RDU just doesn't have an answer to it, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is more damage immediately, and now if the Gentle Megasaur comes down and hits Wind Fury, for instance, that could just be lethal.
So, what are options for RDU? I guess Valkyrian with Taunt will soak up some damage. Poisonous doesn't really do much, since it will eat just one attack from the True Silver Champion, and that's about it.
Well, you are dead to... You're dead to 6 if you go with the spiders, because RDU does gain 5 armor. So maybe there's some merit to that, but I don't think enough. Yeah, he's gonna go with the taunts. Just trying to block some damage, trying to get to that Kun Ultimate Infestation turn. But RDU's still gonna be 1 mana off next turn. He just doesn't have enough time.
Alright. Multiple of weapons in Jackie's hand, so basically he has 2 cards in hand instead. But he can go for the hero power into Megazord, maybe get a Wind Fury, clear both minions.
Pretty sweet.
That's like a true pog jump. Hey, where's the sand? Hey, what's going on, you dude? Don't do this to me.
What?
It just stopped. Wait, I'm gonna refresh.
Oh. It's still
There
there.
you go.
I'm still hearing it. Alright, here's the Megasaur. What's it gonna be?
Stealth, +1,
Those are not
+1,
great.
and Taunt.
Chat worrying that this is not live. I can assure you this is live. It is being broadcast from Spain through YouTube, and then we are broadcasting from YouTube onto Twitch.
Completely legit way of broadcasting.
It's rather convoluted, but I assure you this is live. It's not pre-recorded, it's just weird.
Yeah, YouTube is not just recorded nowadays. It's also live functioning. Alright. Well, no Spreading Plague for
My thoughts are
for RDU, and this is 10, 12, 17 damage. So any damage from a weapon from hand is actually lethal for Jackie Chan. So it seems like it. Jackie Chan has it.
That he does. Jackie Chan gonna take his time a little bit, but RDU, when he sees that True Silver comes down, knows exactly that he has lost the game. And Jackie Chan is gonna scoop up this series, a 3-2 victory over RDU, knocking out the last G2 player in the tournament. And Jackie Chan is going to be going to the finals up against Kalento.
Congrats to Jackie Chan. Going to the final with this array of decks is actually incredible when you think about it. It's like we're kind of miming that, you know, he brought the discard warlock and it's not going to do that well, right? Turns out it's a decent strategy. So
I mean, this is
please.